Well, I think he is really entrapped in this, and he doesn't have a way out that's amenable to his continued survival as the leader of Russia. At least that's the way he sees it. He just has to push on and hope that his friendship with President Trump and Chinese assistance and maybe Iranian assistance and distraction by the United States and other things will give him the financial resources to reduce the burden, that he'll be able to cut the technical assistance and financial assistance to Ukraine, and that somehow Ukraine will collapse. But it started with the idea of the Russians' inherent superiority. As I talk to people in Eastern Europe, they never wanted to be with the Russians because when they were with the Russians would come in and dominate. You'll do it this way because we tell you to. I remember going to the Hungarians and dealing with the NATO defense program in 1998. We required Hungary to submit its defense plans to Brussels. And they said, this is very hard, General, because when we were in the Warsaw Pact, Russia told us what to do. And then we did what we wanted to do and we tried to escape it. And now we have to create our own plans and live with them. So there was this inherent insubordination and corruption that springs from the very idea of Russian ethnic cultural superiority. And I think it led to the entrapment. I think he really believed that he could seize Kyiv and capture Zelensky, shoot him in the street, and take over, and Ukraine would collapse, despite the fact of 10 years of warfare that had already gone on before the invasion. I don't think he understood the spirit of Ukraine. I think he was misled by his intelligence agencies. I think he was blinded by his desire. And remember this too, Putin's not a military leader. He's an intelligence man. That's the way he grew up. Stalin grew up through the military. He had been through the Russian Civil War. He knew what it was to maneuver armies, to have armored trains. He knew what it was to see fear, to take losses, and so forth. Putin knows it through the books, but he doesn't know it. And the Russian general staff and the Russian leaders, and I met the generals, many of them, in the 1990s, they were still trapped in the World War II model, and they still are, which is an educated generalship. But don't worry about the soldiers. If you need them, give them weapons, or push them up there, and they'll do what they have to do. And if they don't have any weapons, they pick up the weapons from the guys that fell. And so this was the way that the Russian army organized. Very skilled, very educated, very smart people at the top, operating in an effort of military science, certain norms, so much artillery, so many tanks per front, so much infantry, so many days of supply. All was organized, studied after the Great Patriotic War, and formed the basis of what they would do afterwards. And it's obsolescent. What the American Army learned after Vietnam is war's won at the bottom. It's lost at the top. We did a study after World War II in which we looked at the effectiveness of individual soldiers and units. And it turned out that the German soldier was, by our calculations, 1.2 times more effective than an American soldier. Now, this was tough to admit. We didn't publicize it. We don't tell the greatest generation this. But why? What was the problem? It took us 30 years to understand. It wasn't until we began to do laser engagement training at the National Training Center that we began to see that it wasn't the plan that won the battle. It was the soldier who improvised from the plan, who could hit the target, who could stay in contact, who could maneuver on his own, who could take initiative, who knew and understood the mission. That's what brings success on the battlefield. And so today, if you look at Ukraine and Russia. You have the Ukrainian army moving in the direction of what the American army discovered from Vietnam. Individual initiative, soldier self-discipline, determination, education, training at the bottom. Yes, there's some stumbling at the top, but there's no comparison. You can have the best laid plans at the top, but if they're not able to be executed by the soldiers at the bottom because of lack of training, skill, motivation, equipment, logistics, you're going to fail.
So what does this tell us about the relationship between the two now?